Satan, and other mind-controlled trigger words. What happens when you hear the word Satan? Well, generally, it's time to kill someone. That seems to be, pretty much the escalation of it. Or, I've seen in movies where some people are like, oh, I was possessed by Satan. Like, you catch someone raping a kid, and they're like, oh, shit, I was possessed by Satan, oh my God. And then the other pedophile is like, oh, Father, Father, exorcise the spirit from him. Satan is in him. And then they're like, and Satan is gone. And the person gets up and stops raping the kid because everyone's watching, got him. And then everyone's like, oh my God, he got rid of Satan from that kid. Thank God he's saved. And they give him a hug like, you was saved from Satan. You was saved. But look at your YouTube feed, right? Like 1 in every 3 videos is like, Satan is doing it. They're like, Satan isn't killing enough Middle Eastern people to steal land for God's chosen Nazi race. And, and Satan is causing their DNA line to go out on the street and beg for money for crack and meth. Yep. Satan's causing them to be beggars. Satan must have caused them to invent the Bible and go around and start begging and invent the Italians to invent Catholicism and start going around the world and beg. Yeah. They're not begging for crack money, though. They're begging for baby penis money and hamburger money. And you're a better person if you're addicted to hamburgers and crack. That definitely means you act great and you're perfect. And when that definitely wouldn't be a bloodline that I see out there on the corner, wherever I'm going, whatever city I'm in, only in one fucking nation, where there's crackheads begging for crack money, alongside crackheads begging for genocide and hamburger money, and baby wiener money, and baby sex money. Yeah, it's definitely not a bloodline, right? Because when you go to see if that were the case, you go to other nations, and there wouldn't be crackheads there, because that's what nations are, is bloodlines of groups of people who are breeding and replicating their cells, creating clones of their cells out their vaginas. And so that definitely. Well, wait a minute. Actually, I didn't see crackheads in other nations. And they don't go around begging like that in other nations for genocide money either. Or hamburger money. Huh. Interesting, isn't it? So, those would be the people who invent these trigger words. Where was the word Satan invented? It was invented in the world's first book that was given to the masses by the rich people who own everything, called the Bible. And you don't even own a printing press today. You definitely didn't own a printing press 6,000 years ago, when only the richest people in the world could afford to even attempt to go to another nation and put everyone in chains and force them to start carving words into a pyramid wall or writing it on a piece of parchment paper that probably costs like fucking 50 slaves each piece of paper created. They probably made like 100 pieces of paper a year 6,000 years ago. So shit, they make like millions of Lamborghinis a year. So put that price in comparison, that value at how high on the Rothschild chain of command you must be to invent a book with a word, with a mind control trigger word like Satan in it. Okay, and so what does the book say? Well, the book explains itself to you. It begins with, oh, slavery is okay, and our bloodline is the master race. Our invisible friend said we own everything and we can enslave everyone and we should genocide everyone. I think like either at the beginning of each chapter, or it's every other chapter. I think I pretty much summed it up. It's every other chapter. It's pretty much like paragraphs and paragraphs of kill all the people who are in our bloodline. Because our invisible friend said so. So that's acceptable because our invisible friend, not Satan, said so. So you see how that mind control trigger word can work too. Not Satan is a powerful word just like Satan. You can be raping a kid and your friend can come up and be like, oh, he's possessed with Satan. Let's exorcise him. And then you're raping the kid and you're like, oh yeah, Satan's possessing me. Yeah. Ah! And then all the dill holes are like, having their kids, the parents of the kid you're raping are like, oh my God, I can't believe he's possessed with Satan. Oh my God, I hate Satan, bruh. And then, the kid's mother is like, oh my God, Satan is a bad boy. Oh my God. But, okay, so we're going through the YouTube. And 1 in 3 videos say Satan in the title. Because there's some invisible guy walking around the earth, apparently. And there's no such thing as a bad human. There is just Satan. And so you look it up on the YouTube. Well, you don't have to. You're trying not to look it up. You're actually trying to look up, like, people burning the Bible so you can stop hearing those fucking words from these terrorist fucking pedo pieces of shit. Fucking Nazi and slaver drug cartel running fucking ugly mutant looking sons of bitches who need to go to fuck back to the Middle East and get thrown off a fucking building for their little fucking man-on-man attempts and shit in this nation. I don't know how they got lost and got over here to America. Oh, wait a minute, I do. It's called genocide every step of the way in replacement of every native people they met since before the Europeans. So that's, the book says Satan in it, right? And then what else does the book say? Well, the book, besides the genocide and the pedophilia and the go act like you're someone's lover so you can kill off their bloodline and prevent them from being around anyone they want to be around and force them to be with your ugly, diseased people. As they clearly do in modern times while they celebrate the story of Esther every fucking year. And, shit, bro. Could I go out on the corner? Well, hold on. Okay, so further in that book, besides all the pedophilia, well, it's not a lot of it just secures that we must legally find a way to practice pedophilia. Our invisible friend said we should. Their invisible friend loves pedophiles. He chose pedophiles as the best race upon the planet to own everything, all the money. And the invisible person, the one true invisible person, also chose them to create 240 different one true invisible people who confirm that Nazis are supposed to be the meaning of master race is ugly, deformed, disease prone, bad eyesight, balding, fucking stupid, stupid looking, I mean, everyone's kind of looks like what they are, so. Jabba the Hutt looks like Jabba the Hutt because Jabba the Hutt's Jabba the Hutt and goes around enslaving people and eating cheeseburgers. So that's why he looks like that. And that's what you look like if you just sit around fucking eating cheeseburgers and fucking dragging everyone else on chains and shit. You don't have to get up. So you turn into it. But some people are born this way, apparently, huh? 'Cause that's weird. Like, you go blind by the time you're 2 or balding by the time you're 10. I don't think. Maybe it is because their parents are smoking crack with them. I mean, that's where crack babies come from, is their parents smoking crack. And that's their final excuse, you know, because it's one of those Satan words. I'm a crackhead. Oh, poor crackhead. It's definitely not his Nazi bloodline. Poor crackhead Rothschild. Oh my God, I can't believe it. Here's $5. Here's $5. Hey, go rape some kids with that crack. Hey, don't spend that on crack. So don't be a crackhead. Yeah. So there's another term that's real closely related to that. Now that's kind of like, again, that's kind of like a polar opposite. Crackhead and Satan. You know, mind control words only work for the most part. It's kind of hard when they, you know, they're crackheads. Fucking the anti-Satanist crackheads are drugging and abusing, raping children. It's hard to get through like that abuse of mind control, and mind control doesn't work without these type of things. Like if I grew up in a non-colonized nation, if there are any left, I wouldn't know what the word Satan is. Like they don't let colonizers invade China, so it's a good chance that their people don't know what the word Satan is, because they're not brainwashed, indoctrinated. Now, of course, I mean, Sean, how can you say that? The good crackheads said that, the good pedophiles said that Asian is the most indoctrinated planet. Yeah, they did say that, didn't they? They say that about everyone who isn't their master race. They're in 240 different invisible friends they've created to enslave the planet. The fucking have chose, right? If those 240 invisible people chose them, they obviously didn't choose the Asians because they were they're enslaving their people or something, forcing them to labor for a few dollars and not forcing their children to do hard labor for free like they do over here in America, like the good crackhead pedophiles do over here. And then fucking totally hide it. And I wonder how many kids that happens to. I'm going to assume that must be a lot, because everything else I'm involved in, it's just a huge fucking trend on this planet. Like, shit. It's like the way. Like, there isn't a different way. I don't think I meet people who even have ever had a different idea. And shit, I hear there's like inventors out there. My one friend says she knows someone who invented a cat toy. She put a string on a stick. So yeah, I didn't even know you could invent that. I thought that was already invented. But okay, so on the YouTube, 1 in 3 videos says Satan, because it's a mind control trigger word. They need you to come watch it, because what it's going to imply is that they have some information on invisible evil people who control you and your family's brains and make you act like crackheads. Or if you're one of the few who aren't a crackhead, They're the ones puppeteering the people on the street corner screaming, I need $5, but for food, every 5 seconds, because I eat a hamburger every 5 seconds, and I'm fucking 25 pounds. I'm having trouble finding the wind here. I'm so fucking small. But I eat a hamburger every 25 seconds, so I need $5 every fucking 25 seconds. And if you don't have $5, I'm going to kill you because you're trash. There's people like that out there, and they're possessed by Satan, apparently. Satan. And then so what you do is, if that's like your child, you're like, oh, I think he's just possessed by Satan. Yeah. Not much we can do about that. Like, you got some money I can have? I need some beer tonight. I'm out of beer money again. It's already Wednesday. Like, I didn't get any money to begin with. I didn't. That's why I need beer money. Fucking. But it could be Satan possessing them. Anyways, on the YouTube, what's going to happen is there's going to be two things when a video title has the word Satanism. Three possibly, because some people make music about, the joy of Satan. It's rare to see anything else. Like, I've never seen like Behemoth rip up a Bible on stage in a video, and in real life I've only seen that once or twice, so that makes sense. I've only seen that once on the internet, and you're probably never going to see the word combined that way. And generally, if you're not looking for the music, what's going to happen is you're not going to find the music that has the word Satan, so that's irrelevant. There's only going to be two reasons the word Satan is going to be in a YouTube video. And it all involves propaganda mind control. It's a switch. They want to be able to hit that switch and say something. Wait, who is Satan? It's like me going around talking about Bigfoot 24/7. There's plenty of fucking evil Nazi races on this planet going around inventing things like Satan to fucking mind control and enslave people. There's plenty of them. We don't need to invent new ones that don't even exist, especially to help protect them. So obviously I wouldn't think that would be we who invented their book to fucking point and fingers at invisible people who are doing exactly what they're doing as visible people. Fucking, I don't think that would be anyone else to write those books. In fact, like, that's the only good argument for why they own every religion, and the humans have never had one. The obvious argument is they genocide and kill every race and enslave every race on the planet. And you're not allowed to have a racial supremacist cult. That's why they run the Black Lives Matter and the Nazis and the Christians, and the Satanists, and the atheists. Because they have to have full control of any racial supremacist ideology. And atheism is racial supremacy because you're worshiping them as geniuses. And the other losers are worshiping them as God's chosen. Fucking. And obviously the Satanists, I think they're the only people smart enough to be Satanists, to be honest. Like, when I go to a fucking Satanist place, it's like, it's all of them. Like, there's worse than a church, bro. Fucking. Probably worse than a synagogue. There's probably like a servant, there's probably like someone sitting around serving cold water and towels at the synagogue who doesn't fit in. But at the fucking Satanist place, it was like, oh shit, bro. It's like, everyone's Elon Musk, and I'm like, well, I didn't really not expect that, right? Those are the only people I've ever known Like, I've known a few Christians who don't look like them. Obviously, that's invented for the Gentiles, so yeah, you might expect that part. So I'm supposed to see this when this word's used right away. That means the person using the word is great, and one of the things about this specific mind control trigger word is right away, in order to accept it, you have to suspend reality. Satan, Bigfoot, Casper the Ghost. When I say those words, what comes to mind? Which one of those words are you going to go kill someone for? If I tell you, they're back. Casper the Ghost is back. You better go kill him. Better go kill those people before they get too far. Bigfoot's back. We better go kill those Bigfoot people. Fuck, dude. You see what he's doing? Satan. God damn it, bro. Satan. Them fuckers over there working for Satan. Let's go kill them. Which one do you think in history might have possibly happened at least one time? Probably all of them, right? Probably all of them. Yeah, probably all of them. Charles Manson, probably. You know, I shouldn't even make fun of him. He's like the only serial killer who said something intelligent. He was like, well, I killed him because they did something. They tried to fuck me over. Like, it's not even a serial killer. That's like the Punisher and shit. Fucking. So there's always a bad excuse. He just acts crazy, so he gets attention and stuff. Fucking. But, damn. Yeah, Dahmer. Okay, we should go with Dahmer. I don't even like thinking of those other people. That's fucking sick. The last people I want to think of, serial killers out there. Killing women and eating little boys and stuff. This sounds like some weak stuff. But anyway, so Satan probably caused Jeffrey Dahmer to eat children, right? He probably gets 10 years off his sentence if he tells the government wearing the pentagrams and the Stars of David. If he tells them that Satan possessed him, and then they're like, oh, Satan possessed you. Oh, shit. Oh, never mind the pentagram on me. Fuck that. Well, if it was that evil guy, then we'll give you a 10-year discount. You love it and worship Israel, right? You notice that you go to jail, and what do they give you? They give you the Bible, and they give you the TV. Two of the most ignorant fucking things on the planet. Which are clearly, one of them is definitely one of the most, media, TVs, internet, books. It is a book. It's where books come from, is this ultra-rich, wealthy family enslaving the planet creates the world's first book, and it's called the Bible. And then they create millions and more religions like that. You gotta be rich and fucking wealthy to create these, to even print these books, yet alone create 10,000 different cults and shit. Fucking, so it's, I wonder who did. I wonder who owns the media. Maybe it's one of my neighbors fucking laying outside smoking crack. He owns the media. Yeah, right. No one can afford media except for the very, 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 very rich. Just as the times they gave the world the first book, the invisible people. Well, I could be wrong. The Bible might come from this invisible person. But how, if that were the case, how do we know, since we can't see him, that it wasn't invented by invisible Satan himself? How do we know that? Because, before the Christian Bible, it was a known fact that every religion was rich enslavers killing and genociding everyone else and telling you how great them and their people and their ideas are. Except for there does seem to be a few that are designed just to like melt people's minds and make them look stupid, like Hinduism. Seems like something their people would create, you know, the rich people would create to make people dumber than they already are, which makes them good slaves. Which is weird because the other handbook, it tells you you're supposed to be their servant. So we already have links that they're the 5 rich people who own the planet are creating books of mind control to teach people that they're supposed to be servants, and then when they die, they can have a good life. Which is that's factual, except for vaginas scared to tell you the truth. When you die, you can have a good life because you won't be on Earth. But it's got nothing to do with you gonna go somewhere else. It's clear our memories are erased when we come here. So we're not even gonna have memories of this fucking place once we leave it. And you're not gonna want to by the time you get like 40. A lot of people seem to be pretty intelligent, and you can tell they already want to forget this place by the time they're like 20 or something. But don't let that stop a fucking rich person, and a rich genocidal enslaver pedophile terrorist from creating 240 different invisible people to back up their word. But you should be their servant and be their sex slave and breed toddlers for them to have sex with, even though they're not homosexuals, because it's for invisible people. So it's not homosexuality when you rape children, for male children. It's one of those little, God things on the planet. God's that powerful, he can change that. Which God? Are you smart enough to ask that question? All 240 of them. That's correct. All 240 of them, I'm sure. Even Satan says, give your money to Israel. So, at least the creator of that did that. So, monkey see, monkey do. I mean, you wouldn't really plagiarize the Bible, would you? You wouldn't take someone else's racial. I don't know many black people who go around and they're the KKKB, the black KKK. I never met it. I don't see Mexicans going around saying we are the South American neo-Nazis. It's our group now. I don't see it happening. It doesn't happen that way. You wouldn't do it that way. You see them being taught to use a certain word that was used, which probably actually derived from the word Nigeria to begin with, and so it wasn't even like offensive probably when it was originally used. It was just like slang term, I bet, for Nigerian. But other than that, we don't see that anywhere in history. But we do see one, that it takes 5 rich people who are so rich they own the entire planet to control any media and own any media. So if you can even write a book on Hinduism and let alone get it published, imagine like everyone was illiterate until the year 2004. That's what the TV said. They had hotlines to call and give them money. They would come to kids at school and ask 5-year-old kids for donations to help the illiterate people across the planet. things like that. They go door to door collecting money for illiterate people across the planet, and then that was like still going on in the 1990s, and then by the year 2004, 2006, everyone's online and reading. So you can see that people couldn't read the entire existence of humanity up until 15 years ago or so. Shit, forget publishing a book. You can't even read a book they're giving you. And the best use books could have had for thousands of years would be just to hit people in the head with and stuff, if you want to teach them something, because they couldn't read. So they're definitely, the average person who can't read definitely isn't printing books either, because you'd have to be able to read to write a book. To be able to write, right? I think, there might be someone who can write who can't read, right? You never know. There's crackheads who don't smoke crack, and there's good people who rape children, and there's peaceful people who go to war. There's all sorts of stuff going on. Anyway, so I see it. I see the word Satan in my feed. And I know right away, hey, that's mine. That's propaganda, mind control. They're saying this for added effect and intent and purpose. And so what's it designed to do? It's designed to, end an argument. It's like a stop code. It's designed to end a discussion. He's raping the children. Oh, no, he's possessed by Satan. And you're like, shit, fuck, he's not raping the children. It's Satan doing it. Damn it. Yeah, let's free him from Satan. A kid sitting there fucking shaking and shit while it's being raped, and people are busy discussing Satan. Or Scooby-Doo. I mean, I don't think Scooby-Doo is the same fact, right? If I would run around saying Scooby-Doo, people would be all happy and excited and jumping around. But when I run around, Satan, I don't think other people would think it's as funny as I do. So we have that effect. It does, it means it's serious business. This invisible guy is about serious things. Yes, he is. And unlike humans, they're all good, down-to-earth people who don't do anything bad, and they're in a war against invisible characters who do bad things. They're in an eternal war. Rather than visible people who... okay, so it can be used as a distraction, right? Not only do I say it and it triggers hatred and fear, but it can be used as a distraction. Obviously, I just explained that a couple times. Why is he acting that way? I think he's Satan possessed. Okay, well, pass the glass pipe, man. Man, I hate Satan. There's definitely things like that. Although, that in specific, certain things I only see in movies, but you can see, certain things happening. And I myself, I'm pretty picky about who I let around me. So I kind of fleshed out the people who go around talking about Bigfoot and telling me they're smoking pencil shavings and hallucinating. I kind of worked those people out of my life by the time I was 14. Bigfoot and Santa, the Easter Bunny, and I'm not a crackhead. It's not my fault. It's not crack's fault. It's Satan possessing me type people. I would definitely if I heard that across the street, I would I would walk 10 miles out of the way to avoid that person and shit. You have to do that on this planet because there's a lot of people like that. It's not that there isn't people on this planet who would create mind control words to distract you while they're raping children and robbing you or genociding you. Because this street lines up with them at like 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. at the times. See the crackheads, you know. They call themselves homeless, but the ones I know live in fancy hotels. So, I don't think I've met a homeless person on the East Coast here. They all say they're homeless, but I mean, like when I'm homeless, like maybe they're a little bit more honest. When I'm trying to live outside, maybe they're being a little bit more honest to me or something, but I'm trying to figure out where people are staying so it doesn't get wet and you don't get annoyed by people and have to go around people and they're like, oh, I stay at the hotel. So yeah, so we have things like it's not that people like that even exist, right? I guess that must be Satan every time shifting into that form or something, because people like that wouldn't invent stories about I need $5 because God said give me $5 because God chose me to spread the message about God and how great Israel is, and we got to get rid of all those people who don't look like New World Order bloodlines from Egypt or Israel, as they. Oh yeah. You guys know they're from Israel, aren't they? Except for everyone who lives in that area says they're not from there and they're not wanted there. So yeah, it just makes more sense that. Well, they don't even like the Bible. They like their New World Order pyramid and all-seeing eye. They like Amon Ra. They say Amon every fucking 5 seconds. Hey, they're running around. They're like, oh, if we just call it Amen, no one will figure it out. They're stupid. Oh, Satan must have fucking told me to say it. One day they'd be like, oh, Satan invented it. Fucking, but anyways. Basically, what you're going to be able to tell is it's going to be some retarded shit. It's going to be some mind control shit, because right away they're using that as a mind control word, aren't they? I use stuff like that for the same thing. Like when I want to keep those people away from me, I'll fucking, I'll go buy some pentagrams and shit. To, you know, or carve it in my forehead or whatever. It doesn't work all the time because obviously we're dealing with like crackhead fucking scumbag pedophile beggars. But that's their DNA. Like I can carve a pentagram and walk around with like someone's arm, you know, a half chopped up baby and coddling it and swaying it back and forth, and they probably still fucking be like, yeah, $5, man, I need another hamburger. And every 5 minutes, bro, I need a hamburger. Fucking, or I'm gonna die. Oh boy, it's so hard. So hard out here. Damn, bro. Yeah, so, every time someone's talking about that shit, they're trying to manipulate. Where does that come from? That comes from people who are talking about invisible people to get you to worship their race as gods. And to get you to go kill and genocide other people for them so they can expand their empire. As they've done, as the Italians have done everywhere they've been, no matter what they've called themselves. When they were the Egyptians, and you know, and that was that. And they were the Egyptians, but then they were victimized by themselves, and they became the Hebrews, and then they were kicked out of those lands because they didn't belong there, and they don't like men. They don't like men having sex with boys, yet alone men having sex with little boys, so they're not going to let that just slide. And then they found some people who do like men having sex with little boys somewhere north of the equator, apparently, so they could settle down quite well in those areas. So, isn't that weird? It sounds like I'm talking about Satan. I'm talking about the people who are pointing their fingers saying Satan's over that way doing something. Isn't that weird? Pretty much that's going to be what that word is used for. And here's the kicker. What is that called? What is that called? If I would invent a word like that and use it for that, what would that be called? Is there a word for something like that? Wow. Why, yes, there is. And it's called scapegoat. You're inventing a scapegoat. And where does that word come from? Who invented that word? See, you can all just, everything's all linked together because one rich bloodline is standing next to us. How did they get standing next to us to rape their way into our lives and destroy our entire life, every second of it probably, like they do everyone across the planet? How do they enslave everyone? Is it really because the humans are brain-dead bots who will never be able to have thoughts and don't exist? Or is it because there is some alien devil race fucking hardcore enslaving the fucking planet and everyone on it? Could be both too, but it's really only one possibility to, like we boil it down. It's one of the two, right? Why do they own everything in everyone's life? Are they angels here to invent the satanic and the Christian Bible and the atheist Bible and 200 other different religions that don't even involve angels? Well, they would be, maybe. Except for they're not going to discuss it in the open because no one would say they are. No one would ever worship them again if they ever even talked about this shit in open. So they didn't have to lie and hide all the time what they're up to. No one, they'd be gone. There definitely wouldn't be any books or TVs or Google websites. But it's clear the word scapegoat comes from the first book invented by the world's most ultra-rich, wealthy people at the gold palaces and the gold pyramids. Yes, that's right. Which was the world's first book? That's right. It is the book that invented the word Satan. Oh my God. So the book that is explaining to you that it's a manual for fascism, racism, genocide, enslavement, pedophilia, how to destroy everyone else's lives, how to force them to have sex with you, how to trick them into having sex and babies and marrying you when you're trying to kill them through acting like you love them so they can't be with anyone of value, and they have to raise the genetic level of the not invisible Satan crackheads to maybe they'll stop balding, maybe they'll fucking have good eyesight, maybe they'll have a brain, maybe they'll stop. Well, I don't think they want to stop raping children. That's fun, right? Sex is fun. Your preference, some bloodlines' preference just happens to be dogs and little children. And lo and behold, they were designed to look like whatever artist is drawing these caricatures made them look like people who fuck dogs and little children, didn't they? Did Woody Allen look like someone who fucks grown women? Not at all. Does Jeffrey Dahmer? Not at all. Fucking not at all. Does the Pope? Not at all. Does the Pope even have a female in his life? Never seen him. Never seen it. Never seen any of the popes around a female. I think they've got rules in their organization about not dating the women in there. Fucking, the women are down for it too, but I mean, their women, you know, are the ones they use to rape their way into our lives and destroy our lives, like as a weapon, and they talk about it. That's part of their. So that's a manual. That's where people get it wrong. It's not a fairy tale book about invisible people. It's a manual written by Nazis to tell you how to tell their bloodline what the bloodline's already going to do naturally. You know, the DNA's already going to do this, but it's going to solidify how to do it, and then they celebrate it. So anyways, they invented the word scapegoat in the same book that invented the word Satan. See, one thing you can notice when you're dealing with a human is every word they say is going to be something they know. A human can't use a word they don't know anything about. Right? I can't talk to you about nuclear fission too much because I didn't study that in depth. So I can't even say the words, you know. You can say uranium 234, isotope, you know, fission. Yeah, I can say certain things, but I can't, like, you know, say a whole bunch of other shit. Yeah, most people probably don't know what a hydrometer is, and so therefore you would never use the word. You don't know what it is. It's not in your head. So if you write a book, those words are all words in your head for some reason. And apparently the writers of this book had two ongoing thoughts in their head. They wanted to invent scapegoats. So they invented the word scapegoat. It's not just, it's a manual. It's not just a word with, it's not just a Merriam-Webster's dictionary telling you scapegoat. When evil, invisible people, when you do something evil, invent an invisible person to blame for who you are and how you act. It doesn't even say that. It's literally telling you the ritual of how to blame an animal for everything you've ever done and go do it again. So go back to being yourself after, and just be like, oh, evil goat. Literally, it's about a goat. Like, hey, guess who Satan is? Invisible Satan is an invisible goat. Wow. See, with humans, they're very limited. You can figure them out in about 10, 20 seconds. Really, I don't even know how I do it. I understand things before I know them. I used to joke about that, not realizing how serious it was. Like, I go down the street and be like, I bet you this person acts this way and shit. But then these days, like, I literally meet clones and shit. So it's like, I'm making a lot of assumptions here. This person probably smokes crack because the last 3 versions of this person did smoke crack. Fucking, just because they look like Einstein doesn't mean they smoke crack, right? Wrong. How do you think invents drugs like crack? Scientists, that's correct. I know some personally myself. Fucking, that's where drugs come from. Every drug except for the 5 natural drugs. Even alcohol is a bit of a scientific thing. Then again, botany, plants, marijuana does involve some small level of science to grow You definitely can't throw a seed in the ground and expect that to go somewhere. Not indoors, anyways. Not indoors. Outdoors might be a little bit easier. But yeah, there we go. So people are inventing scapegoats, and when they invent the word scapegoat, what else are they doing? Well, they're inventing lies and delusions, mind control. The world's first book is also the world's first book of mind control. Obviously, slavery and genocide are promoted in this book as well, but we're discussing the true purpose of inventing invisible people is mind control. And the whole switch from previous religions to their new one is fully mind control. It's for the Gentiles to be good servants to God's chosen master race. So, mind control. It comes with it. It just passive. It has to use this passive aggressive mind subverting technique in order for it to work. They have to come. They have to say they come in peace, or else their enemy is going to kill and torture you if you don't worship them and give them all your money and your children and force your family to worship them and give them all your money and children. And it doesn't work as well. Like it used to work, right? Like when they called themselves Italians. Well, my bad. When the Italians called themselves Romans, before they had to lose that skin and molt into a new one, they had to, they went around just killing people and be like, I am Caesar, I am Italian, I am your God. You will worship me or die. And around that time, the Pope decides to invent something else, right? They have a habit of creating a new religion every 10 years or so. This is all their DNA can do. Like I said, it's like talking to a human. You can listen to their words and you'll know so much about their life after like a sentence or so. Like I can tell by the cadence even. I don't even have to, I try my best not to listen to their words. Fucking, that's Satan fucking whispering in your ear right there and shit, usually. Pretty much because you got to be pretty forceful and pushy to start talking to me. So maybe that's just for me, but that's like some I see. Like you got to be forceful and pushy to talk to me, and that's a shitty fucking DNA trait. That's like a child. That's one step away from a person who's going to force their dick in a child, in a little toddler. It takes a forceful person to do that. Shall we? Do we agree, or can we say some babies are on board? So anyways, yeah. We got interrupted there. You see, you get interrupted when you talk about the intelligent things. Isn't that weird? Like, the world looks a little fake. Like, see, there's never an invisible person involved. So, this invisible Satan guys, they get scapegoat for some visible people, visible things. I think, 2020, for me, proved that there is definitely a lot of non-humans on the planet. Does that mean it's one invisible Satan controlling them all? Well, that would suck, because that would mean that the humans are mostly one evil AI or something, or spirit. I mean, I like the word AI because you guys like it. You guys are the ones going around worshiping an AI. You got it on your dollar bill. That's your original God, is the AI, the all-seeing one eye. So, kind of weird. Like, you get shown all that shit, and then the 2020 stuff happens. And you do notice that there's some non-living characters out here. I don't think it's they're living beings who get possessed by crack cocaine or Satan or something. Because, you know what, I've seen enough of the crackheads to know that they were crackheads before they ever touched crack. So, they don't need crack to be crackheads. It's their DNA code. It's not, so one might suggest if a person's raping a child, it's not because Satan is possessing them. It could just be that they're a child rapist. I know it's a crazy idea. It's crazier than thinking Santa Claus doesn't exist, and I know no one. So, boy, I'm 45 years old, and I still have discussions with adults about Easter bunnies. Not because I want to, but because I don't believe in it. I must have a mental condition and shit. Fucking, I've got the mental condition. You see how Satan works, right? That's actually deeply tied into this. What you do is you got to point your finger first. You got to be like, Satan. Yeah, it's Satan. Like, you don't even have to talk about anything. You just walk up to a stranger on the street and be like, you know what, Satan's out here waiting to get you. But if you donate to me today, me and my army of people walking around asking for donations will help protect you from Satan. Here, let's do it right now. Let's say a prayer together. Can you protect this man from Satan? Yes, he can. Yes, he can. You. Well, what does Satan want? Well, he wants your soul. He wants you to give him your soul. So what you got to do is you got to give me your soul first. That way I can protect it, and Satan can't have it. Yes. Give your soul to me. Don't give your soul to anyone. Don't sell your soul to anyone. But give your soul to me. Yes. 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 Yeah. Now, if I just keep repeating that over and over and over and over, and I'm following you around getting in your face, imagine me doing that since you're a toddler. What's your response going to eventually do? Like Tom Green, wrapping himself around you, walking around going, hey, 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 hey. If you don't sell your soul, but you got to give your soul to me. $5 too, fucking. But what would your response be? I'd be like, here's $5, but you go away and shit. Fucking, there are people, obviously, there's a lot of people who don't even claim to be affiliated with anti-Satan or Satan, who have this personality trait, don't they? Where they're like, hey, 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 $5, you got $5, hey, 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 hey. They don't even fucking waste time fucking inventing stories about Scooby-Doo or anything. They just, well, I guess they do have, wait a minute, oh, shit. You know what? Satan, crack cocaine. Yes, they do have their scapegoat, don't they? It's ties and shit. I just spent an hour fucking explaining it to you. And yes, indeed, that's going to be what happened and shit. They smoke crack cocaine, so I need $5 for more. I mean, for something else. For a nice hotel to go get some good sleep in. Right. It's always to eat food, which is weird because if you're homeless, you don't eat. You're used to not eating by the time you're homeless. Usually your money, the chain of command of money is you stop eating long before you lose your money to have a place to live. Because it's not important. It's just, you don't have to eat. That's a lie. Especially if you're not doing anything. If you're like working construction, your body might want some food, especially the first few days you decide to cut back on eating. But you'll probably get used to it, though. You probably will. I know I fucking... Should I gain... How did I look more swole the other week when I took test boosters and I ate like one little part of a baby meal, like one little half taco, and I wake up bigger the next day? That's how fake the world is. You know, look at the COVID shit where you can just be like, shut the world down, and then the world shuts down. Look how fake it is. You got the humans banding together to try to kill me every 10 years, and then they about get wiped off the planet each time they do that. That's some weird fucking fairy tale fucking fantasy shit right there, where you can be like, yeah, why don't you just kill yourself instead of me? And then you have like organized morons trying to kill you who just turn around and go kill themselves. It's some weird shit, bro. Fucking, like, that's some unreality shit. So the Satan thing almost holds up, except for there's never invisible people, and it's always one race who's causing most of the problems on the planet. It's all the crackheads on the corner begging for money. They're always like these pale-looking weirdos who, when they take a shower, will look like the people walking around with Bibles in every country except for China, where they don't allow them to spread racial supremacy propaganda from other nations. I don't know if they spread their own there or not, but I don't think so. I think they fucking actually attacked the Shaolin. That was the whole purpose of the Shaolin temples, is the government didn't want any of that shit there. But they allow them there. They don't allow other races to bring their race, God chose my race ideologies, which there is not other races. There's only one race who creates religion, has religions outside of China, apparently. We could assume the Indians, but it's like, come on, that was invented by someone. Oh yeah, and that's right, they always leave their claw marks on the shit, and it's called like Abrahamism, which is like Abrahamism, right? So yeah, they invented that. You can tell by talking to one of these people for a minute that they invented it. Over in USA, you could talk to one of them for a minute and make a good fact-based assumption that they invented Hinduism with the six-armed elephant god and pure mental retardation. Why? Because if you understand humans enough, you know basic code, very basic code. Who's invented mental retarded shit? The mentally retarded people. Who's inventing spooky-doo, hokey-dobie-do, flying Scooby-Doo? The fucking hokey-do fucking flying Scooby-Doo fucking in the empty fucking space in between the fucking ear people. It takes, humans are so fucking simple, and they can only do what the fuck they know. They can't do anything new. There hasn't been... You know how often a new movie gets invented? There's billions and billions. There's like trillions of movies. And books. There's trillions of movies, trillions of books, trillions of radios, trillions of songs. When do they come up with a new idea? Almost never. Almost never. I'm still watching zombie movies. We made 1 billion zombie movies, 1 billion zombie video games. You gotta play it, you gotta watch it, because there ain't nothing else. Because it's not coming up with anything new. You don't have to study humans closely like I have had the pleasure of doing to be able to figure them out. Do you? I mean, it's helpful, right? You know, when I'm 6 years old and I'm like, man, these people are some lying manipulative scumbags. Let's put it to the test. Let's test and see how far they go with their fucking lies and manipulation, you know? I figure that's standard for like a 6-year-old to test that and figure it out. Because, obviously if you have thoughts, by the time you're 6, you're going to be like, why is this person talking about invisible Scooby-Doo and shit and flying reindeer? Do they think I'm stupid? Do they like to manipulate children because they're weak and they can't manipulate anyone else? Maybe they like to. See, it doesn't come to mind that anyone would lie to children for fun. Because that's not real. That's what they say. But, I mean, take who these people are and apply who they actually are to what they're doing rather than listening to their fucking diarrhea of the mouth about who they want you to think they are. And you'll see. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of people who don't want to see. In my experience, there's a lot of violent Nazis out there who aren't Nazis, of course, but they are Nazis. So they will kill you if you insult the bloodline that they worship, which will often be their own, because I don't think a lot of people get to the point of understanding that religion never stopped being racial organizations just because they stopped talking about it. I've never heard anyone else discuss it, and I've always tried to be around people who had their own thoughts and didn't join the masses. I've always been around them, but still, shit, even then, I've never met a man who's not pro-war against every other nation and shit, fucking. Unless they have an ally, a greatest ally, who we're going to war for. I'm not sure which one is trumping the other, the fact that we need to go to war against everyone, or we need to protect someone else more than ourselves. I make assumptions based upon looks. If you look like that, those people who do that, then I make that assumption that you're going to be just like, it's like a mosquito or a tiger. If I see something that looks like a tiger outside right now, even though there's no tigers in this city, I'm not going to be like, hey, maybe it's a little baby raccoon, and just let's go up to it and play cuddles and pats on the head with it and just assume it's not even a real tiger or something, right? Like, sometimes when I hear mosquitoes and I feel one land on my arm, I'm like, shit, that could be a bear, dude. How am I to assume that's going to be a mosquito sucking my blood, trying to give me AIDS or something? Like, that would be fucking racist and shit if I But the odd thing is the three Joes I remember knowing were all kind of like the same person. The other Joes even called the one Joe Crackhead Joe. So, even though they do coke and meth, the one gets the name. Even though they look the same and act the same, pretty much, especially the two. Like, I'm always talking about the two latter ones, but if we combine, I'm always talking about the first and the last one I remember meeting. But if we combine the two latter ones, they look even more alike. So I have this weird habit, like, next time I see a person who looks like them, I'm going to assume their name's Joe. I'm going to assume a lot of things about them. I'm going to assume their voice, how they speak, it's going to sound exactly the same. I couldn't have assumed that when I met the dude like my dad, because he was a little bit fat, and I didn't recognize what my dad would look like if he was a little bit fat. But I learned right away as soon as he started talking to me. That was the day after I asked to see my dad again. Learned that right away. But anyways, so what is the term scapegoat for? Well, you can tell on YouTube a lot of the stuff is it's there for like blackmail purposes, right? As some people who think for themselves might have suggested in my life, or I might have assumed they thought there are certain books out there created just to manipulate people. If not, there are definitely books out there that were created for different purposes and are now being used to manipulate people. But manipulation, if the book were, say, you couldn't create a book of manipulation and tell someone it's a book of manipulation, because then it's not a book of manipulation. You see how that works? I can't be a liar by telling you I'm a liar. I'm not a liar if I tell you I'm a liar and I'm lying. Well, and I am a liar if I tell you I'm a liar and I'm not lying, right? So, liars can't tell you they're liars because they're not lying if they tell you they're liars. A person isn't manipulating you if they tell you they're manipulating you. Now they tell us that they're trying to tell you what they're doing. You know, the book says, kill all the people who aren't our race. Rape their men and women and take over their nations. But rape their men and women by saying you love them and you want to marry them. But in reality, we're going to kill them and eat them. Literally eat them. The story doesn't just end with erasing people from the planet by having sex with them and killing their people off that method. It ends with eating the people who have a problem with that happening. So you don't just rape. So see, the people out here who we know who have children with them right now, like the only girl I met who isn't, I don't think it's one of them, and the other person already had children with them. That's what they do, is go around having sex with. They have a rule about that: go have sex with 3 other people and breed with them, and then go back to their own people and have their own children. So that like whoredom comes from the Bible and shit. It comes from the Bible, people. It's literally like whoredom, genocide, slavery. It's literally, I call it the manuscript, the fucking genocide doctrine and shit, because it pretty much is. Like everyone's ignoring it, right? They're reading like the 2nd edition, fucking these days people love the 7,025th edition of the King James. And I watched some of the stuff they've removed as they do that, and it's like, yeah, we're definitely writing the book for propaganda purposes and mind control, fucking, and that's it. So they tell you that they're telling you what they're doing in their book. So they create a book of scapegoat. They create Satan in this book, and they create the word scapegoat in it, and you're supposed to figure out that it's a book of scapegoats and shit. You're supposed to know that they're telling you in the open they're inventing scapegoats. Because that's what they say, right? They're like, we got to brag about it in the open, so to release our karma. And like, they're not really even bragging about it. You know, they're not being honest. They're being wish-washy. It's like me. It's like, you know, like game you're playing with someone, and you're like, you know, you're acting like you got something in your hand, and then they're coming, they want to see what it is, you know, like they do in those old-timer cartoons, and then they won't let them see what's in their hands. And you're like, yeah. That's how much they're bragging about what's in their hands. So if karma existed, then they would be paying fucking 10 million times the price of everything they do. because they're not releasing their karma at all. Fucking so much for that religion. Who came up with that shit? The Abrahamics or Abraham? The Abrahams. Who are the Abrahams? Well, it's Jeffrey Epstein's bloodline, who we worship as gods. Everyone on the fucking planet worships them as gods in a different form, because not everyone on the planet thinks they're worshiping their own race, because they've been melded together with the conquerors. And so they're not, the Russians aren't going to worship Christianity because they're Catholics. And the Swedish aren't going to worship fucking Muslimism because they're Satanists. But half of that's their people, and the other half is all the same people spreading that stuff. And having to create a new book for each one they go to. So I don't think they're doing that because they're karmic. It's just stupid, because there is no karmic. Like, they're not even telling you what they're doing. Just because you invent the word scapegoat in the Bible, and you invent your scapegoat in the Bible, and you don't even tell people it's your scapegoat. Like, that's not telling people what you're doing. That's just like, it's like spitting in someone's eye, making fun. That's like, wait, what you do to stupid people if you want to make fun of them for being stupid. Use cute words they won't understand. You're a doofus. What does that mean? What does that mean? You're not so bright. You're mentally handicapped. So people using big words that stupid people can't understand to make fun of stupid people. But it seems to be the only purpose, because they're not fully disclosing what they're doing, even though, like, it is, like, we're inventing the word scapegoat right beside the world's largest, fucking most famous scapegoat. And we're inventing the word scapegoat, and it's a religion. See, it's not just a word, it's a ritual. The community bands together and takes the goat and kicks it out of town and blames it for everything they've ever done. And okay, so other than the fact that we've invented invisible Satan as an invisible goat, okay? So tell me where I'm wrong here. There's a reason why these people hate this more than anything. I get banned so infrequently for saying kill everyone on the fucking planet. And, in different ways. Like, should we do it by beheading them all with a guillotine? Should we just throw them off a cliff or off of high-rise buildings? Wouldn't the city streets stack up pretty fast if we threw everyone off high-rise buildings? And then eventually there wouldn't be a large enough drop to even kill them. We could start with a 10-mile high building, but the streets would fill up after throwing a few billion people off those buildings, right? And then the streets would be like 2 miles higher, and then the building would, top the 2 mile tall building would be at the same level as the people. You can go around talking about stuff like that. But I notice this stuff, this is the bread and butter right here. Like, getting people to want to throw these people off the buildings is probably harder than teaching people what they're doing and letting people show you who they are and let them come to their own conclusion on what should be done with people who are raping us and forcing us to live lives for them and doing it to everyone across the fucking planet, and forcing people to worship them as gods and be their low-level servants, and making sure that the humans who aren't them can't own or do anything except for a few token circus performers on TV who are usually not them. I was watching a Superman movie the other day because I don't really watch movies, but I turn it on and there it is. Kind of like for background noise. And I noticed right away, the first thing I noticed is, wow, everyone in this movie looks related. Everyone in the movie, so that's not new. Elvis looks related to Elon Musk. Everyone in that movie looks related to Elon Musk. They look like Donald Trump's children, who looks like Barack Obama's mom. No, that doesn't happen. That doesn't happen. America is a big piece of land. America is like the size of several countries and stuff. But yet standardized, when you go to different countries, you see different people. So being such a large piece of the empire, you would think that there'd be a hell of a lot more different looking people. And they've only slightly changed that, right? Like they have like one group they promote as they're giving diversity to, but they don't even control their own group. So they make sure it's like half. It's like halflings, like Barack Obama. And then they lie to you about who they are too, like Barack Obama. They lied to you about half of where he comes from. And half of where he comes from, like his mom says she's from the Middle East, but they say he's African European. So how's he from Europe if his mom is part of a group that says they're from the Middle East? Yeah, maybe the answer to that is because, well, the people in the Middle East say they're not from the Middle East. So maybe they're lying about that, and they're European invaders just trying to colonize the Middle East. God, that's a little too deep to even worry about till we get the fucking initial question out there. Till we get the initial problem solved. But in the meantime, what we can do, instead of solving any problems, is we can just blame Satan for everything. And George Soros is a good example of Satan, right? There's an old man sitting in his wheelchair and he controls the world. I did just tell you, there must be like 6 rich people who own the world 2,000 years ago. And I guarantee you, those are the only people on the planet who could afford a piece of paper to write anything on. Let alone a whole book of them. And definitely carving into pyramid walls and stuff. It's not like they had like billions and billions of walls like they have in modern cities. You know, the pyramids had very little space on the inside, so 1 or 2 people got to carve stuff inside the pyramids. A couple other buildings had that stuff. So what, they had 200 people who knew how to carve symbols into stone. A little too accurate, you know, to seem believable, but let's play along with the line of make-believe. I'm saying like the designs are too clone-ish. No 2 people would write the same or draw the same. So that was either one. That looks like that was either one person or one AI. One machine. Something like that. Anyways, so You know, back then, in order to have someone carve something, you had to, or write something probably. You probably had to invade a city, and get you some slaves to write and carve, and build the tools to do so. I doubt they went to the local supermarket to pick up ink pens back then. Or ink. Where did ink come from back then? There was probably like some alchemic stuff. You went to like Merlin the wizard up on the mountain, and you behold the blood of the squid. Use it to write with. Obviously, they would have used berries or some shit, but people don't even know how to write. I don't think they care about ink. Anyways, yep. So we have George Soros, promoting stuff like that. And obviously, George Soros is a scapegoat because George Soros is against the wars for that book. So George Soros is like, he is saying there's 5 people who live in the shadows who control the world, and everything else is great and perfect. Yeah. There's definitely not like millions of soldiers they have out in the streets all over the city right now who are not soldiers but are peace enforcers and good people. Yeah. I don't know if it's just those people who have a habit of doing that, but I do know that in my life, my experience with them close enough, yeah, they're people are the ones who I've caught, just doing these simple human traits. Because like I said, I think humans might be a little limited in what they can do, because there's too many repeats, There's too many of the same person over and over. I mean, shit, literally, we had people with the same voice and the same name. I got 3 people at least. That's all I can remember, and it took me a minute to remember the one, and I knew that person pretty well. I've known a lot of people. I know new people pretty much every year. I get a new group of friends, but I've got like 3 Joes who look similar, act similar, and talk similar and shit. And that's just the Joes. So we got the clones I've met, the people who I've like requested to see again, and another version of them come up. Like I actually knew those people, right? I didn't ask that. It took me till like 2020 to be like, why is this like this person like this other person and has the same name and just happens to be my friend as well too, and on the same on the same level, the pyramid of friendship, the hierarchy of friendship as well, which takes a hell of a lot, to get to certain levels of that. Like if you're like total trash and I know it, like you've proved it to me, I caught you raping a kid, or you were trying to touch other men at the restroom and something like that, or much worse, you would get this special ranking that very few people would get to, and then if you've managed to follow me around as I move around and stuff, and I've known you for more than a couple months, then you get like a special ranking, a limited ranking, because I just move around so much that and don't go where people are so much that it's really hard to do that. Like moving around, it's, I have friends at school, and then 6 months later, I go to entirely different school, and I never see those people again. Who are like, even if I wanted to talk to them, they're 20 miles away and shit. We don't have time for that. We've got to go to the new school, or else they call the cops, or, get a job. I'm almost 18. We're not even going to school. Fucking things like that. So you get that special. There are certain levels of the pyramid there that are very difficult to obtain. So being a clone and being on those same levels of the pyramid is just as much clonish as the person like having the same name, the same face, the same voice, the same hobbies, or at least similar. I noticed in videos they had a pitcher, two pitchers, two major league pitchers. And they're like kind of like the same person. And that's why they were on TV, because they were talking about that. They were like, damn, you guys are like twins or something, huh? But anyways, yeah, shit. Fuck. Should have asked that one dude I found if it was like my dad, if he was my stepbrother. No way. Because he might have been older. I don't know. But I mean, why would I do that? I already have like three of the clone. I already know like three Joes who are like, two are definitely very similar, and the other one I'm pretty sure was too. And having the same name and everything. Anyway, so like, I really think like there's got to be like limited personality here going on and stuff. Like I said with the intelligence thing, that's obvious, right? I'm not gonna walk up and down the street expecting to talk to anyone about much of anything, yet alone building rockets. So I'm not going, like, we know right away they're limited in that capacity. But I think just from what I've seen, it's pretty limited in how people can, probably and who they want to be, who they want to act like, what they want, what they value, would shape. Like if you're the type of person to make up stuff, make up Scooby-Doo stories, or flying reindeer stories, then I'm willing to bet that you're the type of person to do that, and like just make up fucking delusions and lies for any section of life, not just for one point in time. Like if I catch you lying once, that means you're a liar, pretty much, especially if it's something important. In the past I kind of had to let this roll out. I had to let people prove who they were, even though I could tell right away. These days I make sure, the tests are ran and early on if I suspect things. That way we don't have to spend years, in the wrong areas, thinking that we're wrong because we know what's going on, and we don't want that to be going on, and the other person is claiming it's not going on. So, yes, I'd say they're very limited. I don't know about you. There might be a few like cult of personality people, but I bet you I could tell you what almost everyone I've ever known is doing right now. That, and I mean, like most of the ones close to me. I bet you I can tell you what they're all doing right now. How can I do that? I don't even know anyone. I haven't seen most people in years. Some of the people I think about seeing, I haven't seen in like 20 years. My one friend who actually gets a hold of me every now and then, or did when I used to have a number he could call that he knew. He would call me like once every 5 years or something, just to be like, yeah, dude, I'm still alive. And I'm like, yeah, that's cool. Might be able to tell you what he's doing right now, although that'd be one of the few people I would think I might be wrong about if I try that. But that's kind of like, that's almost a pattern in itself, as the people who I assume are going to be doing, might be doing something different, have a pattern of doing that. That might be, that's pretty rare, but I would think in general I might be able to guess the majority of what they're up to. Specific things are harder with one or two people only one or two people, and I can think of the three people right now off the top of my head that I won't be able to tell you 100% what they're doing, most likely. And that's because I can tell you, that's because I know what they've been doing. Still, it's not really different. It's different than the topic. You know, that we're pointing out that some people they only have like 6 things going on, and that's going to be all you can ever expect from them. Like these people posting these fake videos online. Who is that? That's probably like, Google themselves. They're like putting professional AI. You think that's easy to make those fake videos of those Hollywood level production AI videos? If that was easy, you'd be able to do it. You can't. You can't even access that software and shit like that. There'd be a lot of them if you could do that. There'd be a lot of AI porn videos if normal people could do that. So it's like Hollywood production. Everyone who does that, it tells me they gotta go. They're going into a video editing software. They're not just AI generating shit. Those are fucking people who work in studios, fucking creating these scams. But let's just say, whatever level of scam they're on, I guarantee you those people are the type of people who are growing up and they're scamming everyone, every which way they can. Maybe when they're 14 or something, making these scammer videos. And most people making scammer videos, you can tell, aren't 14, because 14-year-olds don't talk about like the Bible and Satan. So that's not 14-year-olds making that. That's the people who are mentally 14. Might be a DNA strand that's the intelligence and the level of a 14-year-old. But never met a 14-year-old talking about that type of stuff. Fucking never seen it. They don't even send 14-year-old proselytes in the street. They wouldn't trust them and shit, probably. They send them to sell overpriced chocolate and hard cookies. Yeah, you guys might have seen the Girl Scouts out there doing that, but they don't send them to proselytes. At least it's not as bad as the schools. The schools are a little bit worse, but then again, I think the schools and the government and the religions are the same people doing the same thing. It's just another way they get their tribute and propaganda. What's at school? Books. Why are you going to school? To read books. Who invented books? Netanyahu invented books, right? And what was the first book Netanyahu invented? Why is literacy so important? So you can read Netanyahu's book. And why is school important? To teach you how to read. Patterns. Very simple to see. Very, very simple things. You know, I can go outside and study the grass and learn something new that I've never heard science talk about. It's so weird because it's like some of it's like so simple, and I'm like, wait, how come I've never heard about that. Are they even studying anything? Or are they just making up science and stuff? Some of it seems a little too simple to have been ignored. Well, there we go. And then like me, like I can be a good scapegoat, right? You can you can find me doing something and be like, you see, that's what happens when you don't believe in Satan and give me all your money and stuff. And Satan's gonna come and teach you these bad things about I guess Satan was an angel of knowledge too, so I mean that's really another discussion, how it appears to be that they're going around trying to recruit everyone who looks like me on the planet to play a role. And if you don't want to play that role, like once you're like in the middle of it, like it becomes very apparent how these things, what the words here mean. You know, if you're literate, if you're like highly literate, it's pretty easy to understand grammar and its usage. And so getting pulled into it, and you know, see, combine it together, I make some assumptions about what the teleporter shapeshifter people are and what they're up to on this planet. But I don't think, you know, like Satan will make a good scapegoat for them if they ever do these tricks in front of other people, right? Which they probably do. I don't know if I became aware of it in 2020 or if I stopped being blind to it in 2020. I'm not sure. Looking back, I assume I was just blind to it, which, I mean, that shows how much they're releasing their karma by being honest in their books about who and what they are. Because they're not telling, like, you know, award-winning writer, like, can't even figure out what they're saying until I get shown stuff that you're not allowed to see and learn, that they don't allow you to see and learn, because that's the missing key to why things happen the way they do on this planet, and who's doing it, who's actually doing it. And it's not invisible people. I'm not saying that there isn't the ability for someone to be invisible, considering I'm either creating humans or they're teleporters, shapeshifters, alien race, enslaving the fucking planet entirely. And obviously I'm going to lean more towards that, because that makes so much more sense. You know, I don't add 2 and 2 and get Satan. 2 + 2 = Satan. You know who it takes to do that. People who need your views and your money. Yeah. Everything's going to be Satan if you have a book to sell about Satan and you're a salesman. Salesmen generally aren't good people. If you have a product that is worth buying, people will look for that product. Right? People come up to me, I walk down the street, and people will be like, "You got any drugs?" Okay? If I was selling drugs, I wouldn't have to go around with waving a sign on the corner like they do the income tax people out here on the corner. Um, I wouldn't have to wave a sign saying, "Hey, I've got drugs. Come get your drugs." People are looking for drugs. They're going to buy them. You don't have to advertise it. You don't have to tell people about it. You don't have to force them down people's throat, but some people still do that, don't they? Especially when we start changing the word drugs to medication, and we're having the anti-Satan people sell us medication instead of the drugs that people who look like twin blood relations to those people are usually selling on the corner. Boy, seems to be this possibly might be one of those DNA codes here. Personality traits passed down to the bloodline. I'm talking about where you can kind of like know everything someone's going to do by knowing the 6 actions that they perform all day long, every day, and the 25 different words they use when speaking. Have you been able to finish people's sentences before? It's not quite like that, but it can be because of that. It definitely can be because you know what that person's going to say. Generally, it's because you know what they're talking about. You know the information they're talking about. At least for me, that's generally why. But sometimes you can predict what someone's going to say because that's all they say. Right? That's a good example there. People doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over. And we can draw those parallels in a lot of things. The beggar mentality, is that like a DNA thing? When you're like trying to get to work and there's people on the corner begging for money for food, I think everyone assumes that they're going to buy drugs with that. And there's a lot of reasons to assume that that's true, because you'd only have to beg from one person to be able to go buy food for the day. $5, you can go buy 5 loaves of bread. That's more than I eat most days. And shit, if I'm living outside, what was I eating? I think I was eating like a pack of ramen noodles a day or something. That's like 63 cents. Forget bread, bro. Now the water costs like $1 for like a week. Obviously, if I need water to drink too, it might be $1. That'd be the expensive thing, like $1 for a water. But you could technically just go in. If you're begging in front of McDonald's, you could go in there and get a free water and not have to walk like half a mile like I did to get clean water uphill. Right? So generally some things look fishy, and some people be like, "Oh, you can't say that," but it's like, who are these some people? Are there people out here who have like this in their bloodline? Because there does seem to be groups who do this, and I've noticed I've been saying this before. Like, what are they, alien shapeshifters? How come the people in the corner are fucking threatening to hurt you if you don't give them $5 for some food? Which they don't. Which is, technically they're not asking for $5. If they ask 100 people for $5, they're asking for $500 for food. And if they ask 10,000 people for $5, they're asking people for $50,000 for food. Yeah, see, addition, basic addition can get you pretty far in life. Basic math, first grade. That's all people need. They should be forced to go to first through fourth grade and forced to pass them. The rest of that stuff's nonsense. But the problem is people are forced to go to be indoctrinated for 12 years to other propaganda, and they don't even care if you pass first through fourth grade. In fact, that would be detrimental to their system if people could add 1 plus 1 together. They would be able to add it together. What's going on? They definitely don't. They teach you not to think for yourself. You're basically there to learn to sit down and shut up and do everything a person who thinks they're better than you wants you to do. Who will never have credentials to prove they're better than you. There isn't like kindergarten teachers who were like 12th grade honor students who passed school by the time, got their college degree by the time they were 16. There isn't kindergarten teachers who've done that. They would have better things to do with their lives. So that's not even a requirement, really, to actually, what I consider passing school is actually getting the test answers correct and not just a few of them. That should be important, but it's not. I think it's more of a learning to learning to do what you're told, and then who cares if you can do it good or not. Just it's important to do what you're told. I think that might be part of a personality trait too itself, is being worried about people doing what you tell them to, and not people doing anything right. Not worrying about people doing what you tell them to right. As long as that could be like shit. That could go as deep as genetics for certain people. Why they don't care if someone in their crew doesn't do anything right, as long as they do it. Like you can see tigers and lions. Their partners will sometimes smack them if they don't do something right. Not all animals do that to their offspring, or to who they're with. Like gerbils just smack each other constantly and kill each other and kill themselves. And it's just like a circle of wind up toys that have no thoughts or something. That they supposedly have DNA. What the hell is that DNA code? Like literally, they're coded to be nothing. Like empty shells with claws, sharp claws, and a lot of energy to just run. Either they don't even run in the circle. Running in circles makes you think of a person who can accurately run a circle. But their children will do this. Their parents have done it. And 100 million years from now, not that the Earth will exist, or gerbils will still exist. If they existed, they would still do the same thing. Their great-great-great-great-grand gerbils will still not run in circles, but run amok, like run into the wall. Like the wall doesn't exist or something. They just, like their head doesn't exist, like pain doesn't exist. They'll run into the wall over and over and over, depending on which way their body decides to move. And that's DNA. That's DNA that's creating that thing doing that. So it can't figure out anything, that running into a wall isn't good, that doing something of value could get it somewhere in life. Like, have you ever met anyone who owns a gerbil? No one wants a pet gerbil. Even, I don't know, maybe I don't hang out with gerbil brains. I notice people like pets like them. Like, I know some people who I was pretty sure were up to some rat fink shit, and they like rats. And, yappy, annoying people like yappy, annoying dogs. Like gangbangers, like fucking pit bulls that like fight. The cops like dogs who kill people. They like having those well-trained killers. They like well-trained killer dogs. And let's see. I'm not going to talk about my animals, because I got nothing but good things to say about them. I'm trying to think of something. Like, I had other people commenting on my animals about that. I was like, their animal, but I raised it. And like, they're like, why can't this animal be like that one? It's like, you don't want to know the answer to that. You got your dog from someone. Your dog came from someone who was probably abusing it. Actually, I told him that, and instead of telling him that, you don't want to hear that answer. I don't do that a lot. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, I think your dog was abused before you got it. I'm pretty sure. And she was like, yeah, that's probably what was happening. Pretty obvious. Which obviously, yeah, the pit bull who's fighting other pits, it's probably being abused too. That's a sign of abuse, is a dog like that. It's being taught violence. That's why it's violent, because someone's teaching it violence, and it's probably not reading The Art of War. I don't know if dogs can understand words. It's probably not reading The Art of War to it. And besides, if it were reading The Art of War, it would know. I guess it must be a weak dog if it's acting violent, because The Art of War says don't act that way if you're strong. Don't act strong if you're strong. Well, that's that. I couldn't help but I accidentally stumble on YouTube every now and then these days, and when I do, right away my feed is like, Satan. And it's not like a cool heavy metal a new Deicide song or something. Or not like a Creator concert or something. It's usually this stuff, and obviously I don't think we can trust people who spend their lives talking about invisible people. And I mean the whole manual there. Yeah, not a big fan on the pro-slavery thing. Although, like, if we want to talk about it, if we want it in the open, maybe we should discuss the benefits of it, right? If I were an indentured servant when I was a kid, maybe there could have been an agreement where I got something from it instead of just working for nothing. Maybe I could have been promised a job working, rebuilding Masonic temples when I get older. I got that without fucking being an indentured servant. Well, kind of. I technically did do the indentured work, so maybe other things came because of that. I don't know. I learned how to work for free as a kid. I would have did hard work for money too. I did hard work for money, and later I don't see how learning how to do it for free as a kid fucking prepares you for life, unless someone's preparing you to be their slave, which is weird because this whole conversation is discussing something that's deeply linked to slavery. Not only supports it and says it says that's okay, treat your slave well and care for it. In time of slaves, like, yeah, it's important you don't run your car into a wall unless that's what you want to do, because you could break the car down and not have it anymore. So that should be common sense. It seems more like reaffirmation of acceptability. Like it's exactly, like I'm saying, I don't think it's there to protect slaves. I think it's there to ensure that slavery is acceptable and talked about, and it's okay. It's a good thing. It happens because people are working and selling themselves and making, paying off their debts or whatever. And then there's just so many other examples. There's not actually a lot of stuff in there. It's kind of like the same things over and over. But there's other affirmations in there. There's the affirmation that raping and mutilating little children is good as long as it's our race doing it. That's so we do that. There's the affirmation that marrying people who you don't like in order to kill off their bloodline and take over their countries. There's the yearly affirmation called Purim that's celebrated across the world, especially in the nations, especially in the cities that they're in big time. Not every city would want people hanging people in the streets, but because that does look weird. So I assume if you don't own the whole city like New York, people might look at that weird when people start hanging people in the street from the telephone poles and across this, clotheslines going across the street with people hanging from them to signal that they just raped their way into taking control of a nation and killing and eating the people who aren't them and are tired of people who go around raping their way in their lives and to kill and eat them and get rid of them. So there's an affirmation there that that's a good thing because, you're gonna end up not hanging yourself like Jeffrey Epstein if you act like Jeffrey Epstein. And so I guess you affirm your people that you better fucking do something about it before you don't hang yourself and you disappear in prison. So there's that affirmation. It's just there for affirmation. Like I think their DNA already knows to go around raping everyone. I don't think most of them read their books, but they do go around doing these things. So it's an affirmation. Pretty sure the slavery thing is just an affirmation. It's like some people need to write down who they are and what they do in journals. Like today, I pet my my Schnauzer dog on the head, and he barked twice and was very happy. You know, you write down, you affirm that today the dog was barking and happy, and you pet it. You're affirming it. This obviously is a little more affirmation, where you're teaching your children to rape their way in other people's families to kill them off. Because other people, especially do that when other people are tired of you raping their way into their life and trying to kill them off. You should then work together to kill them off, because when they're tired of it, they might be plotting something against Jeffrey Epstein. And Jeffrey Epstein was a good old man. He jumped out the window with his dick in his hand. He said, "Hey, little girl, just doing my job. Open your mouth and slob on the knob." Yay, Epstein. Fucking. That was like. It's so surprising someone at that high could actually kill themselves. You know, I think that the obvious thing always was that those people are so powerful and they're so well trained. Look, they have this 6,000-year-old manuscript here teaching them to kill other people before they can kill you. And like when other nations bordering you get tired of you coming in and doing whatever you're doing, that means you got to get rid of them, because you got to marry them and you got to act like they're your friend. You got to act like you're their friend and you're their lover and they're your husband and wife and children, so you can kill them, because bad things can happen to Jeffrey Epstein. To the Epsteins. That's why we can't talk about the Epsteins. We can't talk about the Steins and the Bergs, because bad things might happen, you know, apparently. So they got to ban that. That's why you can't create a new. That's why you can't create a religion or anti-religion. And they have to control them all and create them all. Because bad things might happen if some other race said they were gods. Or would they do that? I don't know. I don't know if other people do those things. I've not met lots of people who talk about that stuff in the open. You have to kind of go with certain things. I've really only met one person who talked about that in the open, like who I knew, and probably like 3 to 5 others I've overheard speaking in my life have talked about like killing off other people. Like I was at a metal concert the other day, and the people were talking about killing the Asians and shit, or how trashy Chinese are and stuff. Obviously, there's only one reason anyone discuss Chinese people who are thousands of miles away. That's because they want that land and they want the stuff they have. They're thousands of miles away. There's nothing relevant at all. The only reason to ever have talked about them would be like something they're doing, like anime or something, which is mostly Jap anime. I guess video games, but still Nintendo of Japan, right? Japan is like one of those colonized places where they nuke the people. When you nuke people, everyone disappears. Well, dead people don't disappear. They often leave behind like a skeleton. Often, maybe some puddles of flesh around the skeleton if you're hit by a nuke. But They don't have sex and reproduce. Not that I know of. I don't keep that many around to know for sure. But I can tell you that they don't, as far as I know, they don't reproduce. So someone would have to go over there and, other than that, there'd be ghost towns, houses with no people in them and buildings with no people. I've never heard of that over there. And there was a place with a ghost town, you hear about it, because they tell us about China, because they're like, China's building all these apartments for their people and their ghost town because no one lives in them. And I'm not sure if they're like jealous, if that's why they report on it, but I might make that assumption that they're kind of hinting like, hey, look, they have a bunch of land and houses no one's using. We could use that. I might make the jump to assumptions that that's what that's about. So they would definitely tell you if that was in Japan, because they'd be like, let's move over there. They got a lot of stuff. They got a lot of houses no one lives in. Someone must have filled up those houses and stuff after they were erased. Just like in Germany, just like in Ukraine. Like, there's buildings being blown up, and then that means there's not going to be any people, and then there's going to be a bunch of empty buildings. And so who's gonna have to go over there and fill that up? Well, Russia's got their religion, and the Bible religion they support is saying that in times of war they need to breed more, which is obviously that'd be the only reason I would breed myself. That's the only logical reason for breeding I can think of. But if you're smart, you wouldn't bring a kid into this world, because like it's not going to work. Like, if you're like trying to make the world a better place because you think there should be like smart children, and like you would know right away, like they're not going to get anywhere. They're not going to be able to do anything. They're going to be like low-level slaves, and then you're going to be to blame for that. That's you who decided to bring them in to planet slave. So that's your decision that they're going to be slaves their entire life because you wanted to bring a person to a slave colony. You wanted to create a loved one. Like, dear, I know I love living on Mars, honey, but I think we should go to Earth where we can be slaves. Like, I think it's time for a divorce, honey. It's way past time for a divorce. You can go to Earth on your own. But yeah, that's the only thing I can think of, right? Because you love a kid, right? Like, people are trying to fill black holes in their black hearts with all sorts of stuff. Crack and hamburger and children, but you can't fill your black holes with any of that. And definitely a child. That's an expensive hamburger. It's a very costly hamburger. It's costly to the child, not necessarily to the adult. But it's costly to the child for the adult to learn that their new fucking souvenir from Disneyland, from sex in the Disneyland bathroom, isn't as fulfilling as they thought the new souvenir would be. The new trinket on the wall. But hey, that's what the Rothschild did, right? Look, their people have enslaved the planet, and they created these books too. So they definitely control them, and they're creating all the new ones, and they control them in the modern time. In the books, they worship their race's gods, and that's how they've obtained all this land. This is how they're in the Middle East right now, worshiping Rothschild every year. And he His story of how great he is because he had children to be bankers, and lots of children, so you could have lots of bankers, and taught them banking, and which is like funding wars, and funding religions that tell you that he's God and he's the king, and it just happens to be that book is telling you that you're supposed to be having children, and it's used for them to go to war, for the Rothschild too. Of all people, just happens to be that way. It just happens. All this stuff just happens to be that way. You see what I'm saying about how things are so simple? Like, it's sometimes when you finish someone's sentence, it's not because you know the information. I've finished lyrics in songs I've never heard before, and it's because I know the content of this person. Like, I don't even know the person, but I know what they're talking about, and I know how they feel already. So I know the last three words in this line of the song that I've never heard before, and I'm already singing along to the song before I even know it. Before I haven't even heard the whole song all the way through yet once, and I haven't heard this line in the song. I noticed this happened before. That's not me finishing someone's sentence because I know the information that they're, like when we're discussing politics, and I'm listening to something I've spent like literally 1/8 of my life hearing people talk about. I don't want to hear it again. And so I hurry up and finish the sentence. Like, oh yeah, the Rothschild. Like, if someone wants to do the frog in the pot thing, and they want to be like, oh, these shadow people who run the world. I'm like, oh, you mean the Illuminati Rothschild people who we can't say their original name, and I'm not going to say to you because you might be one of them baiting me into talking about it, and I don't want to talk about it with you. If not, they're probably around the corner listening, and it's going to put you in danger if you don't know who the people you're talking about really are. So let's just end this conversation now instead of me spending another 10 minutes hearing the same story that is likely going to lead to no understanding at all, and thinking Bigfoot controls the world because that's what it's designed to do. As point to Satan, invisible Satan over there, instead of visible Pope, when visible Superman smoking crack over there. Yeah, I get the idea. I mean, you can learn a lot from these people by just looking at their YouTube and what they allow on it, and what are they forcing into you every day. Don't get it confused. There's no such thing as AI. There are people creating software. There is no such thing as a computer that can have a thought, and there never will be. It will always be repeating something it's told every step of the way. Even if you get, especially if you get Terminator bots, want to kill the human race, it's because someone's programming us to do that. You think fucking people who can afford to make robots are like good people? Like, who can afford to make robots? The people who created 240 different one-true religions. Jeffrey Epstein can afford to make robots. He's one of the world's richest people. his friends, who are also the world's richest people, look like his twins. So, and generally, a lot of those world's richest people were hanging out with Jeffrey Epstein. So, yeah, those are the people who are going to create robots, who are creating, they are creating robots. Like, you got the president, the first thing they do in office is start invading Mexico. They're the ones making robots. He's the one who owns the literal robot factory. He's the one making your car be able to be controlled by him. It's not a self-driving car. It's a car designed to drive how it's told to drive. There's no AI. There's no self-driving cars. There are cars that are designed to be told how to drive. And if you change the street, if you rebuild the street overnight, I don't think the car is going to remember that street very well. Especially, depending on how you design it, I guess. You could design the street so it would fool a self-driving car. So it's just it's something being told to do something. It's not driving it. It's not like technically driving itself. It's moving. I mean, like I suck air through this and shit, right? What's it really doing? You know, there's little flashy lights on it. What's it really doing? Well, it's not thinking for itself. It's doing everything it's designed to do. It's and you could easily, if you got to go to war against robots, the good thing is you could easily find a way to make self-driving cars wreck. I guarantee you I'm not going to waste time, and I wouldn't tell you if I came up with any of those, if I spent my time thinking about those ideas. But I'll save that in case that's needed sometime in the future here. Technology, it doesn't look very promising, because you got these people who have owned this media for thousands of years, you know, since they had their slaves carving stuff in the pyramid walls about they're half bird people because they have a bird mask on, so they must be gods because they have a bird mask on and say they're half bird people. So we can see it going, like, and computers, like, the controls even worse. You got this crackhead in the open. We don't know those people. In all the videos, they make the Egyptian pharaohs look like these great, beautiful people who just have a mean attitude problem. But right now, we got a president, the last two presidents, we got Elon Musk is like a crackhead. The last plus president, Elon Musk is like a crackhead, like, what's that called? In that lockjaw, that clenched jaw, and that weird going off into crackland look, swinging chainsaw around while his little kid's like right beside him. And everyone else around him is scared as fuck, and including him. Even he's scared of the chain, and there's no reason to be. But just ignorance. He's like zoning out on acid, or people think it's ketamine. Drugs don't always do me the same as others, but it could be, I guess. It's swinging around a chainsaw, and everyone, including him, is scared of it. Except for his 1-year-old child standing right beside him, because his 1-year-old child doesn't understand anything. It might not even see yet. Its brain might not even be functioning yet. And And on top of that, on top of those two great signs of super geniosity, he is, they're all freaking out. You can tell they're all like shaking, scared. And there's no reason to be. Because I guarantee you they didn't even fill it up with gasoline if it's gas operated, and probably didn't charge it if it's not, if it's electric. And I don't see why you would get an electric one anyways, because those would be weak. So you would have to fill it with gas, right? And then it's not even dangerous because it's just a chain. So, but I mean, that just shows the tier after tier after tier of ignorance are going on in the highest echelon of the world leaders. And he's like freaking out, like he's on a good trip. I've seen people on bad trips who look like they're on good trips. It doesn't mean you're on a good trip just because you're smiling. Although those people didn't remember that. But anyways, Biden was like a crackhead, and then that Bill, the Bill, the woman he was with, like did that, like that crack thing that happens sometimes to them. See, we could go on about this for hours, but it's real simple. It's kind of like patterns, repeat patterns over and over. Same type of people doing the same type of shit. Donald Trump's selling the Bible, so he's obviously not saying, he's obviously anti-Satan. Yeah. But it's his race we're supposed to worship and give all our money to. 100 different ways. He's the government. You got to give your money to Caesar through the government. You got to give your money to Caesar through the religions that worship Caesar, all 240 of them these days. And in Roman times, there's probably about 240 different religions too, because they created a new one for every new city they colonized, every new people that they would invade and leave half alive. They would mix the two. That way they felt comfortable with Caesar's racial supremacy being mixed with the local racial culture. There's a lot of basic things. It's like talking to a human. Like studying a human is like talking to a human almost. And it's like, boy, I wonder what they're going to say next. I'll never be able to guess that. Well, it's about time to shut this video down because of the battery. And other than that, we could just go on and continue to point out that there seems to be like some real simple